Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's Nemona is often written off as nothing more than an overbearing Mary Sue, but there is more to her than meets the eye, and what we are about to reveal might hit a little bit too close to home. So let's talk about it. Hey Charles, it's everyone. How are you today? The storylines of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are dark, impactful, and pretty depressing, but seemingly unfazed by the vortex of angst, abuse, anxiety, and whatever in the blue hell that is, we have Nemona, our peppy upperclassman at the academy and one of Pokemon's most unusual rivals. To the internet, Nemona is a creepy, battle-crazed stalker psycho who wandered straight out of The Shining, and she does live up to the memes by coming on hard and fast, cranking up the creepy dial to 151, and stalking us across the lands like the thirsty camel you met on singles night at the local pub. In short, she is obsessed with the idea of battling us day in, day out into eternity. She turns up at our gym battles more often than Uncle Randy turns up at the peelers after a few swigs of 101. She gets territorial when the voluminous hair alien gets anywhere near us, and she's got her eyes on us wherever we go, as she nurtures us into her perfect playmates. Basically, she's Hunter x Hunter's Hisoka reincarnated as a high-strung, clingy, possessive, dreamy-eyed, tights-wearing amigo. But maybe a little less creepy. Maybe. Jokes aside, Nimona has also been criticized for having about as much screen time as the other characters, but nearly none of the development. In fact, over the first 20 hours or so of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, we learn next to nothing about Nimona, aside from just a few details that we will discuss momentarily. As such, she's been treated as a shallow husk compared to more fleshed out, more emo characters like Arvin, Cassiopeia, and the Unga Bunga Lady, which is a shame, because beneath Nimona's intense energy, extroversion, and stalking is a melancholic undertale worth digging into. So get the shovels out and let's burst on into the Zona Nimona to uncover the truth beneath the memes. But first, today's video is sponsored by Wonder. I don't know about you, but the sudden rise of AI art has totally blown my mind. And so many people are using Wonder to turn their words into nifty AI art on their smartphones. For example, here's a nifty anime style avatar I made using a screenshot of myself from the previous video. And if you want to make your own anime avatar, or whatever it is you want to make, then click the link to download Wonder and get a free trial of the premium version to put your creativity to the test. Personally, I've especially had fun combining my own photos with text prompts to animify real life and to visualize hard to imagine concepts to inspire my art and creative writing. But how does it work? All you need to do is enter a text prompt. And if you want one of your own pictures, select from one of many art styles, then watch as Wonder brings your idea to life in seconds. It's actually really cool. So if you are interested in animifying yourself, bringing your ideas to life, or simply staying on the cutting edge of technology, be sure to hit the link below to download Wonder and get a free trial of the premium version to unleash your creativity. And with that said, thank you to Wonder for sponsoring this video, and it's back to today's chat. In the lead up to our first day at Mesagoza City's Pokemon Academy following our move to the coast of southern Paldea, we meet Nemona outside her family's sprawling mansion near the sea. Academy Director Clavel, in the midst of his house visits, introduces her as the president of the Academy's student council and a champion-ranked trainer. Nemona quickly extends a hand of friendship, and eager to test our mettle, she challenges us to a battle on the beach. Director Clavel reminds her that we are new to Pokemon battles, so she uses a fresh catch instead of her level 100 Arceus, and we are off to the races. Win or lose, she's impressed with our potential. In fact, she immediately challenges us to another battle before realizing that she's getting carried away and apologizing. Thereafter, Nimona volunteers to mentor us, and together we venture off towards the academy. At this point, we have already learned several key details about Nimona. She comes from money, she's extremely extroverted, she's a high achiever, she's as socially awkward as they come, she is obsessed with battling, and now she is obsessed with us. And I mean obsessed. Hence the memes. However, aside from hooking us up with a few handouts, including a Terra Orb to make us more competitive, and getting us started on the Victory Road track, Nimona doesn't really do all that much to move the plot forward. And yet, she's always there, waiting for us at the gyms, cheering us on, and occasionally battling us at a handicap to gauge our progress, eager to see us ascend up to her level so that we can have an all-out battle. Essentially, Nimona stakes a claim on our adventure and seemingly stalks us across Paldea to encourage our growth. But the question is, why? At a superficial level, you could say it is simply because she is a prodigy starving for a new challenge, but why does she become so possessive of us? What exactly causes someone to act like that? And is she really a one-dimensional Mary Goku, or is she deeper than she appears? Pokemon Scarlet and Violet dangles the answers out of reach for most of the story, but in the grand finale and the post-game we finally get a glimpse into Nemona's feelings. And what we see isn't all roses and sunshine. As you may know, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet have 3 distinct sub-stories that can be tackled in any order: Path of Legends, Starfall Street, and Victory Road. Once we clear all 3, they converge into a single storyline titled The Way Home, an epic finale wherein we band together with the 3 major co-protagonists of the sub-stories and venture into the great crater of Paldea to search for whichever thirst magnet influenced your choice between the 2 versions of the game. And as we venture deeper into Area Zero, we also venture deeper into the backgrounds of Penny, Arvin, and even the supposedly shallow Nemona. Regarding Nemona, on the way to the 3rd research station, Arvin asks Nemona what her parents are like, to which Nemona responds, "My parents? Normal, I guess," only for Penny to call her out. "Are you serious? Even I know about your dad. He's on the board of the Rotom Phone Company." And this prompts Arvin to take a jab at Nemona. So, Nemona's actually some pampered little princess from a rich family. Ugh. No way. That's not my thing. Though, yeah, I guess you could say mother and father were, like, hands off. But in a good way? My big sister will probably take over the business, so they pretty much let me do what I wanted. Wait, you call them mother and father? Arvin quips. And Toothpaste Head snidely remarks, "That is some pampered little princess stuff right there." Gah. "Shut up, Penny," Nemona bites back, and with that, the topic changes. But at last we had gotten a peek into Nemona's backstory, so let's break it down. Firstly, we get some rough insights into Nemona's home life. While the mother and father titles create a stronger sense of formality in Japanese than in the localization, the point is to illustrate the degree of respect that Nemona has for her parents, that she is from an upper crust family, and perhaps even that there is a fair bit of distance between her and her parents. The hands-off approach may also imply that her busy parents didn't have much time for her, thus driving her towards her singular passion to attain a sense of fulfillment in the absence of tight-knit family bonds, and partially explaining her strong desire to build the kind of close relationships that she lacks at home. Of course, that last bit is speculation, but at the very least we know that whereas Nemona's sister is set to follow in her father's footsteps, Nemona is quote-unquote free to do as she pleases. Quote-unquote free because she still bears the burden of the family name, and thus her family and the world will have great expectations of her. Secondly, we see one of 2 ways in which many outsiders perceive her. That is to say that once people know about her heritage, their perspective of her as Nemona, the battler, racing down the path of champions, shifts to Nemona, the rich kid, swaggering down the runway of silver spoons. Nobody likes having their identity reduced to an insulting caricature, whether that be the lazy pampered rich or the lazy pampered poor, or some other distortion or reduction of one's identity. So even though Arvin and Penny are probably half joking, the remarks bother Nemona nevertheless. Sure, her family does have a big house and big money, but neither of these things should be used to judge the quality of her character. And Nemona certainly didn't become who she is today from lounging around eating crumpets while Jeeves Q-tips her ears. She is who she is because of her incredible work ethic and her passion for what she does. She is not a pampered little princess, she is a hardworking go-getter. So it must sting to be mischaracterized like that simply because she comes from money. And we can assume that this happens all the time to Nemona. That said, the demeaning reductions of her identity, the burden of the family name, and the hands-off home life are only the tip of the iceberg. And it is in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's post-game that Nemona reveals the truth about her feelings. After The Way Home reaches its resolution, the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet post-game begins. One of the major draws of the post-game is the Academy Ace Tournament, an elimination tournament in which the Academy's students, faculty members, and the voluminous hair alien ride into battle for death and glory. Or probably just glory. Anyways, the tournament is a good time, and after the dust settles, Nemona hits us with a heartfelt expression of gratitude. "You know, I've relished every day since you moved here to Paldea and became my rival. I'm so glad I met you. I mean it." And thereafter, things get more and more personal as we bump into Nemona at various places on the campus. First, we find her in the schoolyard, training hard as always, but struggling to find opponents to battle. So she's delighted to see us, and we go at it for 2 hours. Next, in the cafeteria, we see her trying to set up a battle with another student, only to get cold-shouldered when he discovers that she is that Nemona. It looks like she has a reputation. Then, in the school store, her frustration boils to the surface. Oh my gosh. listen to this. Remember that guy from the cafeteria? I ran into him again in the entrance hall, so I asked him to battle, but he said no. He was like, what's the point? You're a champion and a battle whiz. You'd wreck me. I don't get what he meant. I mean, you can have fun battling even if you lose, right? Man, Pokemon battles can get so complicated sometimes. Oh, and I wish he hadn't called me a whiz. I work hard at this stuff. It's not like it all just comes naturally to me. I think I need a mental reset. I'm gonna go find someone to battle. Mob character number 131 slapping Nemona with the "you are just the gifted kid" label is similar to when Penny and Arvin labeled her as a pampered little princess, in that it devalues her identity, her hard work, and her strength of character. And while mob character number 131 probably didn't intend to insult her, even if Nemona has a gift or two, it's being the hardest worker in the room that made her Paldea's strongest. And like anyone else, she certainly has her fair share of weaknesses. For instance, social skills. Of course, it makes sense that the other students are intimidated by her abilities, but it doesn't make getting cold-shouldered and devalued any less hurtful. And presumably this happens to Nimona on a daily basis. Shunned for being talented, written off as the gifted rich kid, gossiped about across the academy, day in, day out, the slights to her character continue. It is beginning to make sense why she has been so thrilled at the opportunity to get to know us. Why she is desperate not to lose us. Why she has been so lonely, and she is about to lay it all out in plain sight. The next time we run into Nemona, she'd been lingering in class 1A, just hoping that we'd turn up. She then invites us to her room for a heart-to-heart, and soon after opening up with some chit-chat in the zone of Nemona, things get pretty raw. You know how when you really like something, you dive in deep? That's what I did with Pokemon battles, and I just kinda became a champion. But then I found out that's pretty special, that normally, it's not so simple for most people. People would tell me to my face that I'd only managed it because I have some innate gift, or because I was raised differently, or whatever. And suddenly I started to feel like there was this invisible wall between me and everyone else. So I started going easy when I'd battle my friends. I just wanted everyone to have fun. In this conversation, Nemona reveals her loneliness and her fear of being isolated. From the very beginning, we had seen the symptoms of Nemona's struggles, in her clinginess, and in how she'd take care to handicap herself all the way up until our final battle. But now we know that her actions were because she was afraid of losing us, and afraid of being all alone once again. As they say, the nail that stands out gets hammered, and the fruits of Nemona's passion and hard work made her simply too good to fit in at the academy. So as a result, she was alienated by her peers and left with a choice. Live the truth alone beyond the wall, or live the lie within. It wasn't until the post-game sequence that we finally saw firsthand how other students treat Nemona, and suddenly her burning desire to befriend us, to mentor us, to keep us, and to compete with us made sense. Nemona may be a high-energy extrovert, but she is just as much of an outcast as Penny, Arvin, the professors, Koraidon and Miraidon, and many of us on the other side of the TV. The other characters are hit by more obvious tragedies, but the reality of Nemona's struggle is simply another shade of misery. Ostracized by her peers, pressured by the family legacy, possibly neglected by her parents, reduced to a caricature both in and out of universe, and as socially awkward as a hooded seal on helium. The only thing Nemona had going on was her battle prowess, but she couldn't even spread her wings at the academy, or she would essentially be excommunicated. Then she met us. This is why she comes off as such a possessive nutcase, because all she ever wanted to do was make a friend she could relate to. And when that opportunity finally came, she was desperate to nurture and protect that friendship. As Paldea's true champion, she towered far, far above the other trainers at the academy. But the top is an especially lonely place to be. In the world of Pokemon video games and the anime, we have seen the motif of the lonely champion explored with other characters. And one such character is Red. Red is the go-getter prodigy who not only becomes Kanto's champion, but single-handedly brings down a criminal organization while he's at it, only to disappear sometime later without a trace, even falling out of contact with his own mother. No, Bad Professor Oak. As we discover in the post-game of Pokemon Gold and Silver, Red was peerless in both Kanto and Johto at the time, which is why he had retreated to the summit of Mount Silver to train in solitude. For all he knew, maybe he had already reached the pinnacle of competitive Pokemon, and all he could do was await the day when he could feel the thrill of a real challenge once again. Years later, as Gold or Silver, we meet Red at the top of the mountain. An epic battle breaks out, and we manage to defeat the legend himself, showing him that he still had room to grow. Thereafter, he descends the mountain, and sometime later competes in the World Tournament against the very best trainers from around the globe. Similar to Red, the Nemona we meet at the beginning of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is already playing out her own post-game, waiting at the summit for the next challenger, just as her predecessor was waiting for Gold to reach the summit 23 years ago. In many ways, Nemona subsists in the same state of limbo as Red did on Mount Silver, a champion far above the rest. A big fish in a small pond, alone at the top of a mountain. The only difference is that Red realized he didn't fit in and decided to isolate himself, whereas Nemona, attempting to fit in, tried to live a lie. Indeed, for those who seek to be the very best like no one ever was, the journey gets lonelier and lonelier the closer you get to the summit, until it is only you standing there, unable to relate to anyone, wondering by yourself how to ascend the next plateau, and desperate for the rival who could push you even higher. Just as Gold emerges to show Red the bigger mountain beyond the clouds, we join Nemona at the summit to present her with the next big challenge, to show her that the ascent isn't over, to free her from a life of loneliness within the walls. And for that, she is so very thankful. Loneliness. It is the theme that binds together the cast of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. A band of loners who discover that the real treasures in life are the true friends standing at their sides. Whether we are lonely at the top or lonely at the bottom, it is miserable to be alone. So if there is anything to take away from Nemona's story and her vulnerability in the post-game, it is the importance of building connections with the right people. Not the people who don't get us, who alienate us, who push us outside the walls, and who make us feel even lonelier than when we were on our own, but the people who truly understand us and share our passions. The people who pull us up beyond the next plateau. The people who make life worth living. The people we ought to treasure like nothing else. Or at least, that's what I think, but how about you? Well, I hope you enjoyed today's chat. I had a lot of fun putting it together. So let me know what you think about Nemona and the rest of the Scarlet and Violet cast. Do check out the link in the description for a free premium trial from Wonder, who have kindly sponsored today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and with that said, have yourself a wonderful day.